Coach Brett Hefner here. Coach, Gage Gillum is taking over for Tanner Pontius this year at quarterback. How do you feel like his, progression has gone over the offseason mainly?
Yeah, he's evolved into a really good leader for us. The biggest thing that we have to do is get him reps. He has an understanding, knows the offense, and knows where it's supposed to go, but he just hasn't had many live reps at it. So the tough part is trying to get live reps in at practice the best that we can while still staying healthy and still trying to evaluate other guys. And it's tough because sometimes the people that you're trying to evaluate, he's trying to get a live rep in with, and we run the wrong route, or we blow the protection or something like that. So we're still working on getting him quality looks and quality reps. So that's been the biggest thing. The more reps he gets, the better he's going to be. We just got to try and find as many of them between now and 2 weeks from now and see what happens.
Second.
Gage Gillum at quarterback, a senior. Gage, talk to me about you're taking over for Tanner Pontius at quarterback. As far as what challenges are coming your way as a senior this year?
He was very good last year, real good at the running game, so it's a big spot to fill, a lot of pressure, a lot of weight on your back, but I think I can do it.
What have you done in the offseason as far as improving on your game from last year, from learning from what he did?
A lot of work on my speed. I've been getting together with my wide receivers.
What have you worked on with speed and agility, kind of getting outside the pocket more?
I've been working on my pocket presence, and then off-season did a lot of ladder work, a lot of speed and agility stuff, just stuff to get me prepared to run.
What do you think as far as losing 23 seniors? What can this team do as far as maybe surprising a few teams?
We'll have a lot of young guys stepping up, a lot of big shoes to fill.
What can this team accomplish this year?
I think the goal is over the top. I mean, we got the guys to do it. We've had a couple tough injuries already, but guys stepping up, practice is looking good. We're ready for it.
You graduated a pretty hefty class last year at 23 seniors. Some of the players that have stood out to you the most, but also some of the players that you look forward to stepping up this year.
Well, I think the big thing, anytime you lose that many kids, and they were great for our program, and I was worried about losing them because they're the last group that's connected to the 17, 18, 19 guys, in the 20, the COVID champions. So I was worried from the get-go. And so I think the biggest key for us is the guys that did return, that played a lot last year, we have to lean on, especially early. Our defensive line, linebackers, we got to lean on them. We need our offensive line to grow up really quick. And it's a group that I thought I liked when they came in as freshmen. It's just they're finding out there's a big difference between playing on Monday night and playing on Friday night, the speed of the game, the physicality of the game. We're trying to block our own guys. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is to lean on those guys that are back and let them kind of lead the way, and now see how quickly we can get everybody else caught up.
On the defensive side, guys like Charlie Ring, Spencer Fox, Michael Love, talk about what they bring to the table, but also how important it is to have a strong defense helping you out more than anything.
Well, the big thing is if you can play defense, you're always going to have a chance to win. And I think games are won and lost up front. And so for us to have Michael back, Charlie back, Eli back, have Spencer back, Caden Coberline, who played 10 games last year at fullback, he's moving over to linebacker. But even though he hadn't played linebacker last year, he still played 10 varsity games. So the pace with which he moves and physicality is big. And Zach Donaldson will be just fine at strong safety. So those guys, that's the group that we're going to have to lean on. Defensive back-wise, we don't really know what we have because we have people that haven't played a game. We've got a couple people that haven't played football. So they're doing a lot of things right now, but I think at the end of the day, until you get out there on a Friday night, I don't know that we're really going to know. So I think people are going to have a very hard time running the ball against us. Maybe we're going to have to do some things coverage-wise to help our front guys out. We don't know right now going back through the years we had last year, we had Jack and Armando, we had, Connor Simmons before that, we had Parker, we had Luke Spencer, we had, Gage Frank. Like we had a lot of guys that could play man. And with the inexperience that we have, we don't want to get into a whole lot of that. So we're going to have to do some things defensively to kind of let them get their footing as we go along.
Charlie Ring, you're on the defensive specialist as well. You put a lot of work in this offseason to be bigger and stronger. Talk about that.
It takes a lot of grit. Like we do 5 a.m. workouts 3 days a week starting in January, and we do that all the way till May and school's out. And lots of us, even after school, we go to the gym again and get double lift in a week, and then we get extra work in. And it takes a lot of eating and like getting intake to actually gain and keep that weight, and then you can put more weight on and then add more pounds to your lifts.
You hit a pretty high number this summer, squatting 495. That's not normal for a high school kid. But as far as respect for you, man, like that's a pretty big deal for the team. How do you feel like you've really gained a lot of confidence over the summer?
With the lifts, that builds a lot of confidence, just knowing that everyone's kind of watching you, looking at that example. Because I know when I was a freshman, looked at Jacob Stoneburner and Austin Herbeth was, wow, they're doing a lot of weight. I want to be like them when I'm older. So I hope I can set that same example to all the younger kids. I mean, the defense, the sky's the limit. The potential is unlimited. Our run game stop is phenomenal. The secondary is all fresh and new, but they've been working their tails off, memorizing formations and schemes and all that stuff, and I trust them having them behind me.
Well, but also being a leader and a role model for the young kids. How important is that for just the program in general?
I mean, the program culture is very important. All the little details matter, and they bring everybody together. And that's what makes a true team a family, and that's how teams, the real good teams, go deep in the playoffs. Those are the ones that they're all tight like brothers, and they know everything about each other, and they just hold each other up and hold each other accountable and use the responsibility to their advantage.
What would be a goal for yourself this year?
The goal for myself is I plan to hopefully get all conference as a defensive tackle and just make my team as best as it can be, and like make the defense one of the well-known that everybody's like, yeah, that defense that year, they were really good because they had these people. I just want to be part of that history and remembrance, so then we can be examples for the future.
So Michael Love here, on the defensive side, kind of like Charlie Ring in a way. What have you worked on this offseason to be a bigger and better player?
So what I've basically worked on my technique. You got to have the technique. If you don't have technique, you don't really have anything. I've got the base, I got my strength, so what I've worked on is how I'm moving, keeping my arms right, because I'm a defensive end. I have to keep my distance away, so I just work on just what I have to do first, because I have the strength.
The part about who has stood out the most?
Zach Donaldson has really stood out to me. I watch him in lifting and I watch his gameplay, I watch his energy. He really has that fire inside of him. Like I watch him every day. He's not the biggest guy, but he has drive. He's strong. He comes out with energy and he leads. And he's really stood out to me. Another person, Maddox Burner. Maddox, he played the end, and I watched him, and I actually learned a lot from him. Every day he'd come out here and he'd bust his body, he'd work hard, he'd pay attention, and he was aggressive. And that was who really stood out to me.
How much of a sleeper team, as far as maybe you guys can surprise some people this year, can you be?
I think we can surpass any team that comes our way in the conference. I think we can push each other at least to get to the playoffs. I think we are very capable. We have a bunch of guys that are willing to work, come out, and bust their bodies to become greater. I feel like our team is capable enough of winning all of our conference games and going to playoffs. I feel like we as a team can, push past and, become greater with each other and just make each other better. Coming in practice, we hit each other, we make each other better. And not just like that, but also with like leading. Everybody has to lead each other. We always have to lead. You follow and you lead, and that's the expectations.
Spencer Fox on the defensive core. Spencer, you guys are being talked about. Defense is a strong point this year, but what challenges are coming your way on the defensive side the most?
Trying to lead those young guys and try to help them grow into the best defenders that they can be and try to pick up where we left off last season. RJ's ready? H-E-A-R-T-S, biggest off-season challenge I had was trying to physically gain weight, gain speed, and try to pick up on reads faster than I was last year.
Out of all the players, who's had the biggest impression so far in practice, do you think?
I think our D-line in general is doing a great job. They're really making my job and Caden Coberline's job a lot easier, allowing us to learn and catch on at a slower pace, a pace that we can understand easier.
What are some of the goals that you would like to achieve this year?
I would like to obtain first team all conference again, or this year. I got second string last year. And I would like to lead the team in tackles or be right up there with our D-line.
What are some of the expectations that you think this team can accomplish, but also as far as maybe individual accolades for yourself?
I think the team can accomplish playoffs again. You know, we had a rough break in the middle of the season, but we still made it, and I think we can exceed better than that. Personally, I felt like I was a little bit on the slow end whenever it came to making plays, and this year I really want to change that. I think we're just going to have to grit it out. I mean, offense is starting to put it together. Defense, we have a really good core going right now. I think we've got a chance to win 6 games, go into playoffs, and get a couple there as well.
And like you mentioned on the offensive side, it's going to be a little bit more challenging because maybe you got some young guys coming up. But what have you noticed as far as kind of helping them out and getting them to learn the process of what they need to do?
Well, I think the big thing is this. It's a group that most of them have played quite a bit as a freshman and as a sophomore at the lower level. I think the other positive is it's the only system that they've been in. So the biggest thing that they're struggling with right now, they know what to do. The biggest issue they're having is, again, the pace and the physicality with which it happens. And, you know, we've got 3 all-conference defensive linemen. And you know, Michael was unanimous, and Eli and Charlie, they will be, as long as they stay healthy. And Caden Metzner's the other one. So those guys having to block them every day, it's going to help their progress, you know, because we're going to go in on a Friday night and they're not blocking anybody better than what we've blocked all week. But with that comes some frustration and some growing pains right now. But it's like I told them, like, you know, we go ones versus ones like that. If we were winning all the time, that wouldn't be a good thing. And if they're winning all the time, it won't be a good thing. So we have to understand that. My big thing is they've gotten better, but they still just the physicality with which they have to play with. Right now we have Maddox Burner back, and Maddox is the only one that you can tell he's played 2 years of varsity football. And the quicker we can get the other guys up to that point, the better off we'll be. And it's been a process because we've lost Rylan Powles, which I thought Rylan would have a chance to start for us, and Brady Stortzum right now is out, and he was our starting center. So we've had to move a couple people around, which that slowed some things down. But I think offensively, we'll go as those guys play, because the better we're able to run the ball. Weldon's really good. Andrew Lotz is really good. You know, but we have to be able to run the football. It takes the pressure off of Gage, takes the pressure off of our offensive linemen, now gives us a chance to be effective offensively.
All right, senior Andrew Lutz here. So as a wide receiver core, what have you learned so much as far as the last couple of years you've been a Hart?
You know, just how to run routes the right way, catch a ball, learn how to backstop, old Randy Moss technique.
Say it. Say it.
Losing 23 seniors, what challenge comes your way now of taking over as a senior leader?
You know, I just have to be a leader, show the younger guys that we can fill the senior shoes. I think our strength this year is running the ball. That's kind of what our offense is built off of, and then play actions off of it.
Expectations that you think the team can strive for this year?
I think picking up where we left off last season, try to beat our record last year, I think it's very doable.
What players on the team right now have stood out to you the most as far as in practice?
I'd say Wade Busher, free safety. He's really picked up Connor Simmons' shoes. And then
Brody Belcher. He's coming in to play receiver too, and he's doing a pretty good job.
Wade Busher, a sophomore. Wade, tell me about you're an underclassman, but also learning the ropes as a varsity player. What have you learned so far?
Just always try and get mental reps, pay attention to the guys in front of me, always try to listen to coaches.
What does it mean to you to be playing as a varsity player?
I've been watching since I was a little kid. I went to the quarterfinal games, I went to the semifinals game, and it's a dream come true starting as a sophomore for Coach Hef.
So what have you worked on in the offseason to get to the point where you're at to being on the varsity roster?
Really just going hard in the weight room, going hard, trying to get faster and quicker, building a better relationship with all my DBs and my quarterback.
Who has stood out to you the most in practice?
Really, all of our D linemen, they've been really good at fitting the run and helping me and the linebackers out in the secondary with the run. Obviously, next year I'd like to be able to go both ways, starting slot receiver and starting free safety.
What can this team do this year?
I think we can win all of our conference games, win 6 games, and go make it around the playoffs.
As far as the schedule, you lose Lincoln and St. T. St. T's obviously defending state champs in 2A, but you add Centralia, Robinson, and Mount Carmel, all playoff teams. Do you feel like it's in your favor, or do you feel like it presents more of a challenge of a schedule?
Well, I think it's the same. I think, like as you said, we added a playoff team. So I think that, it shows that it's still a challenging schedule, and Robinson was a playoff team last year. Mount Carmel, playoff team, and they return everybody for the most part. The quarterback just committed SIU Carbondale, so they're going to be really good. Mater Dei, who's always really good. And then you pick up Centralia, who's a 5A playoff team that returns a ton of kids. They lost to Morris in the second round. So, and then you throw the conference schedule on there on top of it. And, I think it's a very challenging schedule. I think you may look at it and go, well, St. T's not on. You may not have a state champion on it. Well, we might have. I mean, but the conference with, Muhammad, their numbers and what they lost a ton of guys, but like we've seen around here, those guys that replace them had to practice against them all year and are usually pretty good. Mount Zion has all their skilled guys back, and we saw what they could do last year. Matt Toon's the second year of a head coach, so you figure they will be better. Charleston has a ton of kids back, and they brought back Coach Halsey, who's had a ton of success there, so you figure they're going to be better. Taylorville was almost all underclassmen. So you figure they're going to be better. So yeah, it's going to be a very challenging schedule. Maybe slightly different in that you may not have that St. T or that what you would think of that Highland, but very good football teams. To where each week you're going to have to be ready to play.
What excites you the most for this upcoming season?
Well, I think I'm anxious to see our defensive guys play. I'm always anxious to see. If the guys that we've made decisions on, if they're the right decisions at the right places, at the right. So I think just the excitement of every year being new and every year being different. And so now to see what this group can do. And I think this group has a chance to probably surprise a lot of people because similar to 2018 and when we lost a high number of kids, and everybody thought the world was ending, and we ended up in the quarterfinals. I'm not saying we're going to end up in the quarterfinals, but I think it's real easy to go, well, you lost 23 kids. Well, maybe some of these kids could have played, but the fact that the guys in front of them were pretty good, So I always enjoy when kids that have put the time in and put the work in finally get their opportunity to play. I'm always excited to see how they do.
Offensive guys straddle it. Okay, let's go one gap block. Okay, so left feeder on it. Okay, left feeder on it. Okay, switching gears now. Okay, it's power right. All right, power right. First step still has to be with what? Left foot. Okay, don't just pivot. Okay, pick it up and set it down. Eyes to the near number.
What's the ceiling for this team, but also how far do you think they really can go?
Well, I think there's going to be great room for improvement just because of the inexperience, and so the quicker that they can adjust to game speed, which again is why we do so much ones versus ones in practice to try and get both sides. That first game especially, generally the team that adjusts to the speed of the game first takes control. And then there's always a big jump in improvement from week 1 to week 2. And then from there on, it's generally just steady improvement. I think because of the inexperience of this group, their growth rate can be much higher as the season goes on. And, hopefully they embrace that, but it's important that we get off to a good start, try and get a win in week 1 and then build on that as we go.
2 weeks from today, we start the season. As a coach's perspective, what's the anticipation of actually just getting the season started in general?
Well, it's tough because I couldn't tell you what day it is. That happened yesterday. Like you get into a routine. Football coaches are so routine oriented that all we worry about is that day of practice. So we haven't yet thought about game prep. All we're thinking about, okay, we've got tomorrow morning, and then we'll take Sunday and figure out next week. And then next week, we're starting with school. I think once you start school, that kind of lets you know, okay, it's close. So I think once the kids come in the building next week on Thursday, then it will feel more like it's football season. Right now, it has a tendency to still feel like camp because you're not in school, you're just practicing once, you know what I mean? And so I think that gear will shift a little bit more toward season and week 1 opponent in about 6 days. The next 6 days would be like Groundhog Day. We'll just put our head down and keep coming to work and see if we can get better.
I gotta slide this way. I gotta slide this way. But you can't stay squared up with him.
You're entering your 9th year as head coach here at Effingham, but also, what excites you the most about being a head coach?
Well, I think I'm in a really good spot and I've said it from the beginning here. It's a hard-working community, and they embrace, I think, the way we play, and I think the way we play fits the community. I've been blessed with unbelievable support from the people within our program. We've had great kids and we've had great families, and a lot of the stuff that we have now are because of those groups from my first, second, third, and fourth year. And so I'm super appreciative of that. But I still love the process of putting the team together. I still love like this group actually started, we'll say January 3rd. And I still love that process. A lot of people don't. It's what drives them out. It's my 29th year, and a lot of times that's what drives people out is all the off-season work. I still love being around them. It's the most fun that I have during my days are being around our kids. And I love the way our kids fight. I love the way our kids compete. We've got great support. The stands are always full. We travel well to away games. So there's a lot within our program that maybe some people may take for granted. I've been at places that we didn't have this stuff, so I certainly don't take it for granted. I appreciate it greatly. We try and get our kids to understand that, and there's nothing better than after a home game watching them walk through the swarm of people after a win, and that's tough to beat.
Coach Hefner, 9 years now as a head coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you for taking the time with me to speak with me, but also look forward to seeing what the next season of Effingham Hearts football looks like. Good luck to the season, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate all the work you do. You give our guys a lot of coverage, a lot of people a lot of coverage, but always super appreciative of what you've done for our program, and can't wait for another fall season.
Hey boys, take care of your bodies. Do everything with intent. Make every rep count. We're gonna be playing before you know it. Family on me, family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Family.